live. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another episode of the Mining Market Signal. Without further ado, let's jump straight into the Crypto Fear and Greed Index. Today, we've got a score. Well, we're still in the high 70s. Let me go ahead and refresh this page really fast to make sure we have the very latest. Coming down from a score of 73, we have a score of 70 in the Crypto Fear and Greed Index, which, again, if you ask me, which is, I won't give you legal, financial, or business advice, because that's not what we do around here. But for me, I view this as a bit of a counter indicator, right? This is just a way for us to see what everybody else is doing and to maybe do the opposite. Some goblin loser, I don't know, says, woohoo, time to watch ads to do my part. Guys, this is a live show and you don't have to offer like a super chat or whatever to have your comments read. If you're lurking right now and you're not a subscriber though, that is the barrier to entry, right? That's where the bar is set. If you're not a subscriber, get subscribed and you can comment too. But keep those comments coming in. They are live. So if you have a question, ask the question. If you have an answer to somebody else's question and you're here in the chat, why not answer it, right? That is a great way to foster community, help somebody else out, give them a much better time for their day. If they felt the need to ask a question, maybe you can be the person that gives them that answer. Maybe I miss it because I'm looking at something on the screen. Anyway, thanks for being here, guys. Appreciate you chiming in as you can. But Fear and Greed Index, score of 70, that's definitely in the fear range. We're definitely or greed range, and we're definitely far away from greed. Or definitely far away from fear. You see, I've got it exactly backwards. Here's the thing. When I see green candles, I think red. When I see red candles, I think green, right? I think buy. And that's kind of how I operate, right? Kind of flip things in reverse. I'm so conditioned that I almost hit the accelerator when I'm coming up to a red light. And I think you should be the same, but that's just my take on it. But anyway, that's why I kind of, sometimes I'll see this and I'll say fear when I mean greed. But we see the score right now of 70, definitely a healthy greed score. And that to me signals the need for caution. Not extreme caution yet, because we're not in extreme greed yet. But there's definitely some greed going on. Got Painkiller giving us the elbow emoji. That's super cool. And got some other questions coming in about projects that can be mined on a GPU. Guys, we're coming up from a score last month of extreme fear. You see it right there. The trajectory has been pretty amazing, right? We went over 50 basis points from where things were on average last month to where we are today. And here's the chart. It took us about the last month to get to where we are now, and we're moving all the way up. We're going to see this trend line start to disappear, and we'll be living in a range of greed and maybe even extreme greed from this point moving forward. In my mind, that means there's only one way to go, right? Not up necessarily, but maybe down. I'm kind of like in that range of really wanting to be cautious because of it, because of what I see there. But guys, again, I appreciate the thumbs ups that I see those coming through. Appreciate those likes. Appreciate you sharing this while we're live, so we have more people live to ask questions and to answer questions. But yeah, I see this trend. Kind of exciting to be here and to be above the neutral range, but that does for me kind of urge some caution. It brings up little warning bells in my mind. Let's take a look at some of the news articles that I put in the title and put in the description as clickbait. If you've been waiting for us to go live, then you already saw that those articles are live on the internet right now. I wanted to share a couple things that help to affect that sentiment. We always talk about the Crypto Fear and Greed Index being a sentiment indicator, and it is, right? This scale just shows us what people are thinking and saying and doing on Twitter and on Reddit. We got so many comments coming in. Crypto Youth says, made it. Greg Moravec says, still alive. And some others have also chimed in. Next Era Gamer, they're good to see you there, and Prudis FLC and Opposed Gravity, as well as a few others, High Speed Miner and others. Thank you for being here with us live. But guys, this sentiment indicator just tells us roughly what people are thinking as a bit of a composite view of the rest of these outlets, right? Social media and other places. But what informs people's sentiment? What are people reacting against? Why do they feel the way that they feel? I think we really should be asking ourselves this question, because it's a news-driven market. It's a sentiment-driven market. People always buy emotionally, under the best of circumstances, under the worst of circumstances. People buy emotionally, people sell emotionally. And it's no different when you talk about cryptocurrencies or any other asset class, like real estate or anything else. People tend to do these things emotionally, and they tend to do so based on fear and or greed. But also they spook based on other stuff that they see, trends that they imagine that they see, patterns that they think that they're seeing in the markets, or they're just reacting, right? Oh, let's see. Crypto Mikkel says chat blocked. Boo! That's a bummer. Yep. There we go. So Crypto Youth also says, I'm waiting for everyone's fear to kick in so I can buy your coins. That's awesome. I'm just imagining the Crypto Youth also has a little mustache that he can curl while he says that as well. Let's see. Golden Wolf says, is he really live? Yes, I'm really live. I'm really live. And I'm taking some of the audience suggestions to heart. It looks like moving forward, I think what I'd like to commit to and what I can commit to by way of a live streaming schedule, is Monday and Wednesday nights at this time, roughly at about 6:05 Mountain Standard Time or Mountain Time, Denver time, or I guess 5:05 Pacific time. And then Saturday mornings at an undetermined time as of right now. Going to talk to the team over at DCA Adventure, so Crypto Mikkel and others, as well as Serpent X Special Forces and I think Red Panda Mining, because they all have some Saturday morning live streams that they have already consistently running. And I don't want to step on their toes. Great bunch of dudes, make some great content. Wouldn't want you to miss what they're talking about. And so I'm going to talk to them about maybe a good time to go on Saturday mornings. Don't want to have to pre-record that either, but those times work for me, I think, and that should give me time to post-produce some other content that I have lined up. There's so much that I've actually got in the hopper right now, just waiting to be produced. I mean, dozens of videos that I want to make and that we just haven't made yet because of some of the other needs, getting back to school with the kids and finishing up summer, doing vacation, doing that really rapid fire sprint that we did for those couple of weeks where we were live streaming basically every day. And so trying to get to something that's a bit less of a breakneck pace, that's sustainable and that helps bring value to you, of course, as frequently as possible without it necessarily being live, if that makes sense. So jumping back out of the way here. Let's see. Some Goblin Loser says, why not have a live stream panel with all of those channels? Mind your biz. Hey, that's a great question. And maybe I will reach out to them and ask if that's what they want to do. DCA Adventure is already a collaborative channel between Crypto Mikkel and a few others, right? So you've got Gundy and the rest, Doge Lord and Nemesis and the others who will occasionally rotate in depending on what the event is that they're streaming. So they're already doing a collaborative stream there. Red Panda Mining has his own channel that he's been trying to grow. He, unlike Son of a Tech, even though they've got similar sized channels, has not been able to break away from the day job, right? And I'm sure he would love to, but has not been able to break away from the day job the way that Son of a Tech has. Son of a Tech, when he goes live, he absolutely, I mean, it's not a selfish thing, guys. There's an economy here, right? Because of the financial aspect of running a channel, he needs as many eyeballs. Son of a Tech needs as many eyeballs on his live streams, just on his side of the live stream, as he can possibly get during that time. So not that I don't want to whatever, get all hippy dippy on you guys, right? Like, oh, attitude of scarcity or whatever. But working together, I think we are trying to make sure that those who are interested in this kind of content, that they're able to see unique views at the right time, if that makes sense. So sometimes we do stuff together. So other times we just kind of do our own thing because we want to make sure that the audience doesn't get fatigued and that there are more eyeballs on any one piece of media at the same time. Totally get it, right? And I know sometimes I'll go live at other times when other people are, want to go live, and I don't mean to be disrespectful. It's just, sort of the ADHD or whatever, like, oh, I've got this idea, I got to talk about it right now. But moving forward with a bit more of a fixed schedule that I can commit to, gotta really make sure that I integrate myself right with these people. They're really good dudes. They've been really kind to me, been really cool to me. So the least I can do is just like check, hey, what's a good time to stream? So anyway, that was a really roundabout way of saying it. But that's our Fear Ingredient Index, guys. Here's some of the news that's affecting it right now. Coinbase, and this is something I think is a bit of a future indicator and kind of it kind of tells us, gives us a little bit of an indication of what larger institutions are doing. Not necessarily a buying or selling signal per se, but to me, it kind of is a top signal a little bit. You tell me in the comments what you think of this. A little bit of a top signal to see that Coinbase is stockpiling cash. Not Bitcoin. They're stockpiling cash right now. And I think that they're going to want to be able to convert that in a lean time when maybe they need to have, when they need to be able to provide more Bitcoin. Now, I mean, do I know exactly what their breakdown is? No, but when I see a headline like this and when I see Coinbase making this kind of move, that tells me that they're taking that reversal that we were looking at on our chart last time, and maybe they see something that we don't. Maybe they're not banking on a run-up in Bitcoin per se, but it seems apparent that they're trying to get their hands on as much cash as they can to prevent themselves from getting wrecked by too much volatility. And kind of weird. You'd think they would have done this in the past, right? But the article here, as you can see in the description of this video, it goes on to talk about a few different things, but I mean, they only have about less than half of that came in revenue, and then far less than that was actually profit from this first quarter of 2021. But they've set aside $4 billion, and they're talking about new regulations coming from the SEC targeting crypto exchanges possibly being an issue there. We all know that the SEC historically, or any U.S. government agency historically, hasn't fined cryptocurrency operations or exchanges to the tune of billions of dollars before, but it has been tens of millions in the past, right? We have seen that happened in the past. I think it was EOS got fined for its fundraise, right, for its ICO, but they got fined a couple dozen $1 million. It's such a weird phrase to say, but tens of millions of dollars they were fined after raising $4 billion. EOS was after 2017 going into 2018. And if that's a bit of the historical precedent, well, it makes sense to me that that's why Coinbase would be preparing themselves for something maybe a little bit similar while still having a rainy day fund for other stuff that comes through. They also mentioned how there's a bit of that spitballing in the infrastructure bill about tax reporting requirements for, air quotes, crypto brokers, whatever the heck that means, and whoever the heck those people are, right? Hopefully not us as miners and individual contributors to the greater cryptocurrency scene, right, and crypto markets. But I think that they are taking that very seriously, right? It's like, oh, it's a warning shot. Maybe we don't get another warning shot before they come after us. So yeah, they're grabbing cash and setting it aside and getting themselves prepared. It's funny also that here's their quote, like Haas, the guy that was talking about it, Alessia Haas, says that regulation can be an enabler, not a burden. And I'm looking at that and thinking like, okay, an enabler for anti-competitive practices. I can't think of any other reasonable framing of regulation and like overly strict regulation being an enabler of business, unless you're the person who's the incumbent, right? You're already in first place, and it's like, oh yeah, right. This, this legislation is going to prevent anybody else from even running the race. So you're always going to be first. Right, we've seen this before in big business. It's crony capitalism, or corporatism, is what Ron Paul used to call it. It's not true capitalism, but that kind of bugs me to see that line there. Right, regulation being an enabler and not a burden. Of course, it's a burden. Right? Regulation is almost always a burden. That's the whole point. It's meant to be burdensome. But the question is, who's writing the regulation? Who's benefiting from the regulation, and who's being burdened by it? Right, but it's funny he would mention that. It's like, all right, way to show your hand there, buddy. But goes on and says that they want to deal with maybe the future where they have decreased trading. And, I can see that. I can definitely see that. When the ICO happened, and I apologize, I was not very active on YouTube at that time, but I was very active in a lot of other voice channels on Clubhouse. I was giving it a try, right? Trying it on for size. And we were talking about that a lot. I don't think that the Coinbase ICO or that the Coinbase IPO was bullish. I think, in fact, it was a really, really bad signal, something of a top signal, something of a signal showing that we didn't have a whole lot more upwards momentum in the market, because there's Coinbase saying, basically begging people outside of the company and outside of the crypto ecosystem for their money in exchange for worthless shares. But now we have all these decentralized exchanges, right? We've got Thorchain that, even though it was hacked, is cross-platform. We've got Uniswap as a protocol that's used by SushiSwap and others. We've got PancakeSwap, which uses that same protocol on a different network, and so many other different forks and clones of these fully decentralized solutions that let people trade without a centralized controller, right? Without a centralized broker like Coinbase and like Binance. Of course, they're worried. Of course, they're scared. They have to deal with regulation, while Uniswap as a protocol is a protocol. It's like the crypto networks themselves. They're largely unalterable through any kind of legislation or through any kind of attack, to even at the developer level, right? Like, if you don't like the changes, you roll back the protocol, or you fork the protocol back to a previous state anonymously. You deploy it on a couple of seed nodes in some jurisdiction that the United States has no authority over, and you're back in business. People start to mirror that protocol and mirror those nodes around the world. These are technology problems. Rather, these are social problems that technology solves and legislation does just burden. So all that about, oh, it's not a burden. Nope. Sorry, you're wrong. It's just a burden. And that's precisely why Bitcoin was even invented, is because of a lot of legislation beginning to favor some of the cronies and make it more difficult for people at home to just know what their money was worth and where it was stored and whether it was safe. So yeah, it's the whole thing just reeks of crony capitalism and corporatism. But yeah, they say they want to be able to endure periods of reduced trading. Don't blame them. I think that those days are coming. I think that if you have funds on Coinbase, you should have already been off Coinbase. And I'm sorry if I haven't been more vocal enough about this, but you really should not be on Coinbase. You really should not be on Binance. You really should not be on Kraken. You shouldn't be leaving any of your funds on centralized exchanges at all. Never, ever again. If you want to buy there, fine. If you're already KYC'd there, they already know you there, fine. And you want to pull crypto off of it, then fine. But I would strongly recommend that you do not leave your funds with these people, right? They took public funds for an IPO, and now they're hoarding cash. What does that tell you? Yeah, that top line right there, enduring periods of reduced trading, they're worried about that big time. And they're worried about some kind of a run on their funding. So, and they should be worried about both, in my opinion. They say to compensate for cyber attacks. I mean, come on, really? Compensate for cyber attacks? Maybe. I guess if you get hacked in some way, they want to be able to restore user funds. That whole CZ, Binance, your funds, Seifu bit. That's funny or whatever. And then make investments in case of a crypto winter. Here's where I think maybe we can take a little bit more seriously what they're doing. And, I talked about, or the thumbnail is very clickbaity, right? Where it's like, shut up and buy this coin. First off, you guys know I don't give that kind of advice. So you knew better. You saw right through it, right? It's total clickbait. I'm being silly. But I do think that companies like Coinbase, if you have something of a centralized counterparty risk, if this describes you in the audience without giving you advice, if you have something of a centralized counterparty risk, then maybe for some people, it does make more sense to be pegging into stablecoins as their portfolio puts them back into really good profit. We saw a correction on Bitcoin not too long ago. And I think we'll see when we look at the chart a little bit later on tonight, that correction has kind of held. We didn't maintain any kind of support at that new level where we broke into this new range. We're now just crabbing sideways, right? Like, hey, crawling sideways the way Bitcoin did before in the 30 to 40K range. And when you see this, Cryptid Juice says I've got to show the sign again. I normally only do it once as a rule, I do it once per episode. But you're right, I am going kind of hard here. So let me ask you, dear audience, is this advice? Heck no, this is not advice. GTFO with that. All right. So yeah, guys, really, I see them saying some things here between the lines. In case of a crypto winter, what do you mean, big Coinbase, in case of a crypto winter? Oh, you mean that you kind of have already done about as deep an analysis as any organization can do of this market, and you are scared. That might mean that for those of us who are more decentralized, we don't have reason to be scared. Or it means perhaps for those of us who are holding certain assets, maybe we do have reason to be scared. I see some of those players and what they do, like actions speak louder than words, right? That speaks volumes, what they're doing. And they're taking $4 billion of cash, setting it aside for a rainy day. Take note. But that's just Coinbase. Another little bit of news that may be affecting what's going on right now is the Fed says that tapering may start this year, and they believe that stablecoins cause some kind of a threat or pose a threat. Coinbase and Circle, if you don't know Circle Investments or Circle, they are the issuers of USDC, and they're pretty cozy, Coinbase and Circle. Poloniex as well, I think, is another portfolio company, is actually a direct portfolio company of Circle, so probably more closely aligned with Poloniex as an exchange, but Coinbase and Circle are pretty closely aligned. And when I think USDC, I think Coinbase, basically. And when I see this also, here's a bit more of a red flag right now, right? The Fed says tapering may start this year. Stablecoins pose a threat. Bottom line, They're concerned about the lack of transparency in stablecoins, so they're firing a warning shot here as well. And then the Federal Reserve is going to start tapering its asset purchases and scaling back its easy money monetary policies. They've already begun to raise the rates on real estate as it is right now. And when you talk about 0.25%, we did a video about this not that long ago with real estate right now. But when you talk about 0.25%, if you're starting from an extremely low interest rate of like 3%, 0.25% is pretty hefty, right? When you do the proportional percentage increase based on that percent amount right there, 0.5% versus 3%. I mean, you're talking about like multiple whole integers there, based on like in terms of the net increase over what you already had your percentage rate at. It's a pretty big deal. So when the Fed is talking about scaling back some of those policies and they're kind of hinting at maybe raising rates, then yeah, that's another cause for concern. Some people may want to shift some of their investments around, call some things back in, not be spread too thin, and definitely not be leveraged, right? Over leveraged anywhere. Cryptid Youth says, easy money, have they had to keep multiple rigs running? That's pretty funny. Yeah, multiple printing presses, more like it. Brr. Yeah. Crazy. But guys, this is another piece of news that I think may be preventing us from getting into the extreme greed area. So this point number 2. And then this is just kind of like a bit more of a public interest piece right here. Facebook talking about possibly actually releasing their wallet. And it's just hilarious. The branding story here is really what's funny to me. It's just Facebook doing more of what Facebook does, like with the whole with the whole augmented reality acquisition that Facebook did not that long ago, and right, trying to get into the hardware game and trying to get people thinking about augmented reality and become leaders in the augmented reality space. It's more of Facebook just saying like, hey, like basically to our faces, we want to own everything that you do, and we want tracking info from everything that you're consuming, and we want to be able to provide you ads everywhere you are, right? Like it's not secret, right? They've been operating out in the open with this like very, very backwards agenda for us as consumers. Like there's not really a whole lot of upside to us participating in their platforms. So again, here's another really strong call to action. If anybody here is not just on Coinbase and Binance, but if you're on Facebook and Instagram, cut that crap out. Really, it's addictive. It's making you miserable. Oh, hey, guys, we got Claudio from Crypto's Chain in the comment section. Claudio, thanks for stopping by, saying hello. Really appreciate seeing you while we're live. And guys, if you're not subscribed to Claudio's channel over on Crypto's Chain, you see that spelled with a K, please do subscribe. Phenomenal content and a deep expert in the Polkadot ecosystem. You really should be following him if you want more info on Polkadot specifically. But yeah, back to the question of Facebook, right? They're operating in the open and just flat out telling us they want to own everything that we do, right? So now they're finally saying, hey, you remember how we were talking about having our own crypto, and then we were talking about having our own stablecoin, and then we were talking about having our own wallet, and then we were talking about like having a consortium between Visa and MasterCard and Discover and everybody else. Like how many times has that narrative changed with Facebook, right? How many times have you seen something in the news with Facebook kind of like dipping their toe in the water and they're like, oh, we're not sure. And nope, we're not sure. And then going before Congress and having all these problems, right? It's a bit of an issue for Facebook. It seems like every time we hear about them, they're in hot water. Really, this is no different. But you remember it began its life as Libra, right? That was how the project launched. And then they were going to have this wallet called the Calibra wallet for your Libra, which is not confusing at all, right? Having the exact same word in both names, right? Depending on which side of it you see, sort of like quickly scanning the text, it would look like the same thing. But they were talking about the Libra Association, and it was going to be all these groups like Visa and MasterCard and Discover and all the rest. But we would decentralize it. Yeah, over time, they would definitely decentralize it because they've always let go of power before, right? Visa and MasterCard. But that was Facebook's story. Now they're finally coming back and just saying like, hey, oops, just kidding. That was all like a bold-faced lie. They switched the name of Calibra, the wallet, to Novi, and they switched the name of the Libra Association to Diem. And I was just tickled pink by this, guys. Novi Diem. New day. It's a new day for Facebook and their crypto ventures. But it's the same old crap. It's like we're stuck in Groundhog's Day. That's what I see with Facebook. They keep saying the same thing. If you let yourself go over to the walled garden of Facebook services, they're going to own all your data. They're going to create a profile for you, your family, your friends, all of your associations. They want to hold you hostage and say, guess what? Here's our little data, our little data walled garden. You want to see these people alive? You better come and pay us what we want. All of your personal information. There's no way in heck I'd be putting my crypto into a wallet that Facebook has issued. Right? I mean, I actually feel kind of bad about even wasting this much of your time in talking about it, right? But if there's anybody in the audience who saw this news and thought, ooh, this is bullish, this is really good, I'll say this without giving advice. If you're interested in maybe speculating on some of these projects because there's a way for you to enter, make money, and then exit, fine. You do what you got to do, right? There are people who've made money on XRP, right? Who am I to judge? Really, there are people who've been made millionaires by investing in XRP and then selling, right? Dumping it. I think it's the same kind of proposition here. Dispassionately, but get your heart out of it. Don't fall in love. Don't drink the Kool-Aid for sure if they offer it to you. And just get out, right? Really, just get out when you think you can. Again, without giving official advice, I'm just saying I think it's a net negative to the world when Facebook gets its hands on people's not only personal information but their financial information. You make them that much more of a threat in your life because they own every single aspect of what you do, what you say, and where you spend. So I'm not even going to touch it. Just disclosure. Anything that Facebook is doing, I don't even want any exposure to it, just so you're aware. I will not be taking a position in anything that Facebook does at all. My conscience won't let me. So just wanted to bring it up, I guess, for that reason. You can do you, and I won't judge you for it. Guys, you guys know I'm happy to hear that you're winning. So if you're winning with a new strategy by using one of these new networks like Novi, the Novi wallet with the DM, right? that Facebook is proposing here, then fine. That's awesome, and I'm happy for you, and I hope things go well. I hope they continue to turn out your way. But for me, I'm staying out. Let's take a look at our gas prices right now on Ethereum, guys. Here's txstreet.com, and you see right now, look at that mempool. Dang, for the current block, that is rough. Lots of transactions trying to make their way in. The current base fee or the current medium gas price is 34.21 Gwei. Let's see. And we got, hey, Rob. It's good to see Rob. Guys, I got a good friend, Rob, in the comment section here live as well. Do me a favor and check out Rob's socials. Really great guy, really great singer, really great dancer, really great all-around. We'd call him a triple threat, right, in the entertainment industry. Really great all-rounder. But he's asking a question of Cryptos Chain and me of what the best wallet is to stake Polkadot with. And thankfully, Cryptos Chain is here and he's answering some of those questions live. Again, if you're watching this after the fact, go follow Cryptos Chain. You're going to get the answers to some of those questions about Polkadot from him, and it's a very authoritative source. But taking a look again at our current price for transacting on Ethereum, median gas price of almost 34.5 Gwei. Median ETH transfer fee is down since the last time we chatted at about $2.18, but the contract fee at about the average is $14.20. So not as cheap as maybe we want it, but cheaper than we've seen it in a while. And you see these blocks filling up. It looks like everything's kind of running on time. Looks like the gas fee bid system is working very well. Not too much congestion. If txstreet.com is showing us an accurate and timely representation, which it typically does. And for anybody who hasn't seen this before, the thing that I like about TX Street is that it puts us into this visual language that we understand, plus these little characters coming out of all the services in the Ethereum ecosystem. You see over here, Curve and others. See, yeah, there we go. Curve, Mint SLP. We've got Uniswap and SushiSwap and others right there. All these little characters walking out of it. They look kind of like South Park characters. Here's the thing. You know what? I'm noticing we've got a little bit of a rendering issue here. It looks like, wow, yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. Something's really off here. I might go ahead and refresh that. Maybe we had this sitting a little bit too long. Need to refresh the page, see if we can get whatever's rendering that in our browser reloaded and looking. Nope, it just looks kind of crazy. Everyone's chopped in half and they look like they're kind of rolling around. Isn't that nuts? Oh my gosh, they look crazy right now. But at any rate, the data is still good, and the rest of the representation of these fees going through into new blocks on the Ethereum blockchain is still pretty accurate. We see those going through roughly every 13 to 15 seconds, we'll say. So I think the target block time is roughly 15 seconds. So we see these going through pretty close to real time. It's a beautiful website to see it. And on the right, we see Bitcoin right now. The Bitcoin network right now, and it's currently got a mempool backup of about a little over 1,000 transactions. I should mention that in Ethereum, we've always got a backlog of about 75,000 transactions waiting in the mempool to be pushed forward. And on Bitcoin, it varies a little more, fluctuates a little bit more. Right now, the median fee in terms of sats or satoshis per VByte is 4, meaning that our median fee for sending a Bitcoin transaction is about 33 cents. Not bad. It's not the best we've seen in recent weeks or months, but also not terrible, all things considered. All right, guys, those are our average fees right now. Let's take a look at fiatleak.com, another tool that we take a look at pretty frequently, at least on the live segment, so that we get some sense of where in the world transactions are happening and which currencies they're happening in and which cryptocurrencies are being purchased most. Looks like right now the leaderboard shows Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Cardano. Let's see. Oh, hey, we've got a little bit of pushback to some folks who are wanting to comment. You're going to get some pushback if you haven't been a subscriber for long enough, just so you're aware. And I apologize for that. Sorry, not sorry. It's a way to cut down on spam and prevent bot abuse in the channel. So go ahead and get subscribed now, and you can comment later. Appreciate that. And of course, if you're not subscribed and already clicking the bell icon so you know when we're live, please do that. It helps the channel a lot, and it lets me know that I'm making the right kind of content for you. All right, guys, so here we are again on fiatleak.com. We see right now Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano are totally in the lead. They are absolutely slaying it in terms of total volume. Bitcoin right now is, it's over 1.5 million in volume, transactional volume right now. And Ethereum is lower than it was the last time that we chatted together. But Cardano is on the leaderboard, not doing bad. Just behind it is Cosmos and then Dogecoin. A lot of different coins coming through in terms of the markets right now. But this is just the fiat markets, right, where people are on-ramping using KYC instruments. Take a look at Bitcoin. See where in the world people are buying Bitcoin. First off, price for Bitcoin is 44.6. Looks pretty good. USD is the first one out of the gate. We've got the Turkish lira. We've got the British pound. I think, was that the Ukrainian hryvnia? Nope, that was the British pound coming out of there. And then we got the Japanese yen. This is pretty typical based on the time of day that we stream, or the time of day that we do this particular evening live stream. Not too uncommon to see most of these currencies just really, really get pumped into Bitcoin. There we go. Brazilian real as well. Brazil is always representing when we go live as well. It's a great sight to see that people in Brazil are taking cryptocurrencies seriously and helping to preserve the value of their native currency, the Brazilian real. But just be aware that the British pound, US dollar, the euro, that these three, that they're occasionally used by other countries. There are far more countries throughout the world that are dollarized, for example, than not, right? As far as not wanting to come up with their own currency and wanting to borrow a currency that already has some strength. Plenty of countries that are dollarized that may be purchasing with dollars. So it kind of skews this chart and makes it look as though the US is buying more Bitcoin. That's not the case. It's just telling us that the US dollar is being used to buy the Bitcoin. So it could be the US dollar is being used to buy Bitcoin in, say, London or in Ireland. We don't know for sure. But we do see that the British pound is also being used and the euro is also being used. Korean won is now warmed up and it's kicking butt and taking names as well. Just like see all that currency pouring into Korea right now, all that Bitcoin pouring into Korea. Various different size transactions happening right now live. This is why I like fiatleak.com, why we always check this out. So, all right, moving from Bitcoin over to Ethereum to see where in the world the ETH is going right now. Let's see. While we have that chart kind of warm up, let me take a look at our comments really fast and see what I've missed. I'm going to go ahead and engage with some live comments. I'll be really, really brief with this. We can get back to the main content, but let's see what else we've got. Looks like Cryptid Youth mentioned that before we had a glitch in the Matrix over on TX Street. And yep, some Goblin Loser confirms it on his browser as well, or hers. Man, I don't know. Most folks are anon in the chat, so don't take it personally if I say that you're a dude, because my metrics tell me that probably like 99.98% of my audience is all dudes. So pretty safe bet. But we got, let's see, Ozzy Boggentech saying TX Street looks normal to him. And RX 6700 XT and mining. Nice. Okay, so all right, maybe it is a driver thing. Maybe it's an NVIDIA driver thing, because I do have an NVIDIA card on this workstation. So good point. I hadn't thought about that. Maybe there is something very specific about rendering that's off with NVIDIA cards right now. So I don't know. Maybe that's it. Joseph Upton also is here. Thank you for saying hello. JMMJ says, you need a new GPU. Bro, really? A new GPU? Do I really need it right now? Okay, fine. See, Ravenboy Crypto is here, says, who hit the dislike button? Be a man and own up to it. Nah, it's okay. Here's the thing. So I said some things in the last 24 hours that would get some people riled up. Just know if you're here because you saw that wasn't personal. And I don't really like talking about people. I much prefer talking about ideas, and I much prefer talking about good ideas over just any ideas, right? Like, I'm not really that big a fan of actually complaining. I like to make a joke and a show of things, but I'm not really here to talk down other people for the most part, or to try to denigrate other people's hard work. Just saying. But so if somebody has a thumbs down in them, fine. You do you. You express your truth. I'm not going to take it personally. But here we are at the fully warmed up ETH fiat leak chart, and we're seeing now that current Ethereum price over $3,000, but we've come back down quite a bit. It was 3,300, a little over 3,300 at its peak, but now we're at about 3,000 even. And US dollars, just pouring in. Just pouring in. US dollars, also not a shock. But Turkish lira coming in, Korean won coming in very, very heavily. And looks like we've intermittently got some rubles, which is not a big shock, right? So plenty of Russian people, plenty of Ukrainians love Ethereum. A lot of really good GPU miners in former Eastern Bloc countries, and really, I think they get it. Issuing tokens, running different businesses, the programmable aspect of Ethereum makes their lives easier in that way. So I think I get it. I think I understand why that would be the case. Now, am I here to pick winners or try to pit Bitcoin versus Ethereum? No, I think that's a very, very unwise position for me to take. But I'm just going to say that there are some countries throughout the world that clearly seem to prefer Ethereum based on some of the businesses that are run out of those areas of the world. And I think that former Eastern Bloc countries definitely fit the bill when it comes to Ethereum, being able to build stuff on top of DeFi and other second layers and such. Ethereum has kind of got a lot more going for it right now than Bitcoin does. It's not to say that's always going to be the case. With Lightning becoming more usable, and I didn't think I'd be saying this, with Lightning becoming more usable and more Lightning channels becoming available and opening, we might see a little bit of a flippening in the not too distant future. We'll see, in terms of there being second layer building and services being built on top of Lightning Network. That would be exciting to see, a bit of a true DeFi competitor to Ethereum and the whole EVM ecosystem built on Lightning. However, right now, as far as I can tell, there's not really a very solid sort of generally understood lingua franca for building DeFi on top of Lightning Network. So you kind of have to build a framework for the other builders to come, if that makes sense. For the developers to feel comfortable, you got to lay out, pallets of bricks and mortar for them to come and build stuff. And I don't see that happening quite as fast as it's happening in Ethereum. But that's why I think you see so much of this. Still USD. Could just be that a lot of the biggest exchanges that they're just accepting USD. So you could be seeing a little bit of Forex happening here, or a bit of exchange happening between fiat currencies here before people buy their Ethereum with US dollars. We got Chump Change XD in the house, throwing the fire emojis into the live chat. Good to see you, Chump Change. Thanks for being here. Crypto Youth says BTC is gold. What do you use real gold for? A store of value. ETH is like a program everyone uses, so everyone uses it. Hey, hard to argue with that logic. Store of value is what Bitcoin is really good at, right? And Ethereum as a programmable money, and with essentially an infinite emission. They talk about it being deflationary, but that's kind of a joke, because if they keep on emitting block rewards without a definitive halving schedule, then it's not deflationary. They're just doing some burning while they also keep pumping out new coins. So, and as we've seen on this show also, EIP 1559 didn't really get rid of mining rewards, didn't really make it deflationary. All that narrative is kind of falling flat, as we're seeing. However, it's kind of like fiat currency, like you're saying. We see money printing happening and being injected into various different fiat currencies throughout the world. So maybe it is a closer equivalent than Bitcoin is in terms of day-to-day cash usage, maybe. But again, not here to pit them against each other. They're very different use cases, as was suggested in the live comments. So, all right, taking a look at Fiat Leak, that's where all these coins are going. We don't have many others that we can take a look at right now. Let's jump into our mining profits. We're going to start at the very bottom of the barrel. Start with the R9380, ancient card. 14-cent power with a volume filter of 5 Bitcoin daily. I'm going to stick to that right now because we're still in the middle of a market where if we don't see 5 Bitcoin of daily trading volume on a given coin, I think you're probably kind of in trouble trying to trade that coin, trying to liquidate enough of that coin to keep your mining operation going. So that feels like the right choice for me. Even if you are taking payouts, not just daily, but you're taking them weekly, I think we need that kind of volume for this to be a responsible coverage of these coins. So R9380 at 14 cents per kilowatt hour, 5 Bitcoin daily trading volume, 55 cents per day on Ethereum Classic. I don't even vape, and I got to stop vaping. Good grief. That took the breath out of me. Ethereum Classic is coming up. I don't know what's happening there, but yikes. Ethereum Classic just slaying right now. Ergo at 58 cents? Sheesh. Ravencoin at a quarter, which is what we had, what the profits were for the other coins before on that machine. But dang, almost 60 cents per day in profit. And if you don't need to sell immediately, right? We've talked about this before. If you don't have an immediate need to pay down your utility bills, then you can hold on to about $1 of profit per day, roughly $1 profit per day between either of those coins on this ancient R9380. Yikes. So if you have an R9380 at the office or something and power's included and it's just a few rigs or something, and you're not going to like tank the building owner by having a couple of cards running. If you had a couple of rooms full of these running, obviously you'd be taking them for a ride. They'd invite you to be what's the word, evicted sooner than later. Then again, can they even do that anymore? The moratorium on evictions got renewed, didn't it? Wheels are turning. I'm just kidding. Don't be evil, guys. Don't be evil. Pay your own way. But the point is, if you can bear to float the cost of electricity for a little longer, you're doing $1 a day on these ancient cards. R9 Fury with high bandwidth memory, HBM memory. This guy should be a little bit more performant. You can see right there on ETH 4G goes up to 29 mega hashes per second. Same parameters, 14 cent per kilowatt hour power, 5 Bitcoin of daily trading volume, and averages of profitability and difficulty for the revenue of 7 days. We're also putting every single exchange on here, guys. And in the past, or when I do these calculations for myself, I should say, I change that. I only put exchange rates for exchanges that I'm going to use, right? I don't put exchanges that I'm not going to use. For example, I'm not active on Gate.io. I'm not even active on Binance anymore. I did KYC on the original Binance, but I haven't KYC'd for anew on Binance US. So I don't really need that for myself, and I've basically poisoned the well over at Binance with my info and my docs at this point anyway. So Binance, I could take that off this list for me, and it wouldn't fetch numbers down here from Binance anymore. There are only a few that I'm really comfortable with, and I'm not going to say them out loud, but only a few that I'm really comfortable with getting those numbers, because those numbers will tell me the correct data. I won't just be like, making a guesstimate based on exchange data from exchanges that I wouldn't use personally, right? It'll give me the most up-to-date info, at least, the best that What's Mine can do. But Ravencoin top of the list at 135. Whew. Ethereum Classic at 88 cents, Ergo at 93 cents. Very clearly, we've got a winner in Ravencoin for that R9 Fury. Let's go to a 4 gig Polaris card, and these guys they're still like basically my heroes. It's amazing how many of these 4 gig Polaris cards are still profitable. Shout out to Bitsby Trippin, who was operating, I think, still roughly 2,500 of these. I could be wrong, and I'm pretty sure that Bits has talked about this on his channel before, but I think he's still got a couple thousand of these 4 gig not ancient, but several years old at this point, Polaris mining edition cards, and is making he's paying the bills with these things. It's pretty darn cool to see. But let's calculate for this card. And it looks like Ravencoin also at the top of the list at 127 per day, and Ergo at 125. Something I missed here, though, we probably need to put better ETH hash numbers. So not 29, we can do 30 and a half. And even that is probably a little bit conservative. But let's recalculate again to see if Ethereum Classic goes a little higher on the list. And it does. Right, that does bring Ethereum Classic up to $1.30 of profit every single day. Based on where things are right now with Ethereum Classic profit, guys, this is amazing. This could be a game changer when we take a look at our mining portfolio later on. I'm pretty excited. I'm just straight up, I'm really pretty excited to see what's happening with Ethereum Classic right now. I think that the news coming out of Ethereum Classic is very good. The fact that they're committed to proof of work for a fairly long time, instead of just following blindly after what Ethereum is doing, bodes pretty well. And it's probably very good news for those of us who are into mining. So I'm watching with great interest. But there we go. Puts Ergo into the 3rd spot, and technically, based on that daily profit, actually puts Ethereum Classic into the number 1 spot. And the only reason it's not in the number 1 spot is because of the consistency of profitability over 7 days. So this is a recent development for the profit to be that high. But let's move on to the 8 gig Polaris card, the 580. And we've got 30 and a half mega hash on Ethereum there. This will give us new numbers for all of it, including Ethereum at $1.83 per day. Ravencoin at $1.24, also not bad. Ergo at $1.34 and Ethereum Classic at $1.27. Really, nothing bad between those 3 runners up. All between, all at about the 130 cent mark, roughly. And Ethereum just killing them, right? Just 50 cents more, more than 50 cents more per day, every single day. So it's pretty amazing. But not a shock either, right? It's an 8 gig card, so you can mine Ethereum with it. Let's go to the Vega 56. This is the entry-level Vega card with HBM2 memory on it. Same parameters, 14 cent per kilowatt hour power, over 5 Bitcoin of daily trading volume, and profits and everything else averaging for 7 days. And Ergo just consistently outperforms all the other coins on the Vega 56. Clearly that Vega 56, and I would venture a guess that the Vega 64 and the Vega Frontier Edition probably also perform about the same way, regardless of what VBIOS you flash onto them and what overclock you have applied to them. I think it's very, very likely that you're going to get that Ergo mining profitability in the number 1 spot for those Vega cards as well. Ethereum in the number 2 spot at 306, Ravencoin at 229, not very attractive there, and Ethereum Classic at 217. Going to the top of the line for HBM and Vega architecture cards, the Radeon 7. And we've got Ethereum 623, Ergo 617. That's pretty close. I haven't seen them be quite that close in a little bit of time. But I mean, that's neck and neck. Really, you take your pick. Profitability is not that much higher on Ethereum, but the delta can be explained by the difficulty of the hashing algorithm here as well. You notice that the daily profit here is a little bit lower, and I want to say, let's take a look. So yeah, that represents a little bit less power consumed or cost for power every single day between Ergo versus Ethereum. That's pretty amazing. Pretty darn amazing. And let's see. Yeah, some Goblin Loser talking about Charles Hoskinson and Cryptid Youth saying Charles is part of the reason that Ethereum Classic is still around. Yeah, guys, here's the thing. It's no big secret. IOHK, the company that Charles Hoskinson formed, they're one of the biggest contributors to Ethereum Classic. Go figure, right? Cardano is trying to make strides towards finally having smart contracts. I'm doubtful, but Ethereum Classic works today, and everything that works on Ethereum works on Ethereum Classic. or should, hypothetically, today. That said, how many people are porting their entire decentralized exchange and dApp marketplace and everything else over to Ethereum Classic? Just not there yet. I wish it were, but I'm excited because there's already adoption on Ethereum, which could port over more easily. Anyway, but that's our Radeon 7 numbers there. Distant third is Ethereum Classic at 453, but it's not at all, well, yeah, no, not at all attractive when you got these options at over $6 per day in daily profit. Moving to the 5,000 and 6,000 series cards. But before I do that, let me give a quick shout out to Serpent X Special Forces, who compiled a phenomenal chart. And it's not just good, it is second to none. Second to none. Phenomenal chart of mining performance on the RX 6600 XT. If you're watching this after the fact, I just put this into the live stream chat, into live comments, so they see it. You might not be able to if you're watching this after it's been recorded. But for live chat, you got a link directly to this over on Reddit. There's a comment in the GPU mining subreddit by Serpent X Special Forces. He goes by CMV Jax over there. And stands for Vega, right? Has his name and some other stuff there, but got really great karma on that account, so I know he continues to post from that account. But he talks about some of the testing that he did on the 6600 XT, showing that right now the performance figures are really not that impressive. You got maybe, we could call it roughly Polaris architecture or Polaris performance at best, with maybe a little bit more efficiency, but really not all that much. I have seen people in the past, in years past, who when they've really fine-tuned their Polaris cards, they've been able to get roughly this hash rate at roughly this power consumption. So the 6600 XT is not really showing us anything particularly special. Also, shout out to, oh my gosh, why am I not thinking? Simon Byrne is his name, whose rig this is right here. Lives just hop, skip, and jump away over in Las Vegas. That's his cable management. And that's the sweet 1080 Ti array right there. It's like something like 100 1080 Ti's. Just beautiful rig from back in the day. Beautiful. Probably still profitable if he still has it. But I'd love to have that as their main image there. But the 6600 XT just doing okay. That's the bottom line, is that it's doing okay. We can take a look at some of the compound numbers here as well, and you're looking at numbers that are higher than maybe an RX 470, and that's fine, but it's not by so much that it makes sense to just switch over wholesale. Once you get into the higher efficiencies, again, you look down here with more of these tweaks, right? With your V-core set all the way down to 975 and power limit set all the way down to like 0, right? As opposed to the other presets for the power limit in AMD, you're kind of looking at numbers that can be achieved by other people on Polaris, or that have been achieved by other people in the past on Polaris cards, which is why, again, shout out to Bitsby Trippin'. He's got hundreds of those ancient Polaris cards that are doing about the same, and he didn't have to spend almost $400 per card to get the new ones. He already had those paid off, and he's mining smart. So again, that's the best thing you can possibly do. Try to use what's already been used, or what you already had used for some time. Anyway, kind of weird. Ergo numbers are here as well. Let's just quickly take a look and see how those compare. I haven't taken a look at this before, but let's see how those compare to a Polaris edition card. And here looks like our auto Lycos numbers, yeah, about 60 mega hash per second at about 120 watts. And we're looking here at a slightly higher efficiency, right? So 55 at 110, but then with more tweaks right here, undervolt and overclock tweaks here, bring the core down. Clearly you need a little bit more memory, right? You need to be able to save your thermals for that memory overclock on this new one. You're doing only the slightest bit better over here. That's without the optimized numbers over on Polaris here. So I'm seeing almost the exact same thing. Crypto Youth is saying the difference in power would take a while to pay off. Yeah, that is the problem when you're starting with brand new equipment like this that you spent really good money for, is you're looking at a time to break even that's significantly longer versus even just shaving off some of that money by getting used equipment that mines profitably enough to get you back into the money, back into the black sooner. So it's kind of a dance. That's why I talk about hash per dollar per watt, not just hash per watt anymore. It's great to look at efficiencies, but you have to look at efficiencies versus overhead, right? It's kind of the name of the game, right? You can't be profitable if you go broke first. So anyway, but just wanted to call that out. Probably not going to add it to the list. 6600 XT, interesting looking card. Again, huge shout out to Serpent X Special Forces. If you're not subbed to his channel, you should check him out. And he went ahead and did that extensive testing. Put that over in Reddit. I thought it was a lot easier to consume just in a Reddit post where you can just see the numbers. It's just really easily broken down. But he also has a long form live stream where he did that, and then a shorter video where he summarizes it. I think it's worth you taking a look at. Wasn't planning on showing that tonight, so I apologize. I don't have the other links down in the description. But the Reddit post is for those of you who are here live. But 5600 XT and 6800 XT, we're going to do a composite here. 60% of the resulting hash rate and profit are going to go to the 6000 series part. Everything else is the same. 14-cent power over 5 Bitcoin daily trading volume. And we've got Ethereum top of the list, $6.90. Ravencoin second at below $6, $5.95. Ethereum Classic at $5 even. That's interesting. And then Ergo at $4.74. All right, and in the comments section, we've got Ozzy Bogatek saying the ETC community and Charles are not that friendly to each other. I thought I may be wrong, but I see a lot of pushback on his ideas. Yeah, it could be. Ethereum is certainly very unfriendly towards Charles, and Charles is certainly very unfriendly towards Ethereum. But Ethereum Classic and IOHK, Charles's company, they're very friendly. And they're one of the biggest contributors to Ethereum Classic. I know it seems strange, but I think in part because Charles was a co-founder of Ethereum and the other co-founders maintained their sort of like rock star status. I don't want to read into it too much, but I think there may be something to do with that. Maybe some personal communications they had behind the scenes at some other time. But anyway, all right, guys, that's our Team Red roundup. Going to Team Green, start with the 1060, 1660, the 2060, and the 3060 Ti. We do that because the 3000 series, at least if it's a proper representation of what the 3000 series can do, should take about 50% of this composite score. And the 3060 Ti does that. The 3060, not so much. It falls a little bit short of the performance that we want to see here. So let's calculate the composite here. About half of the hash rate and half of the profit are going to go to the 3060 Ti. Ethereum, top of the list, $8.52. Ravencoin at $7.37. Ergo at $7.27, very close there actually. And then Firo makes the list at a somewhat distant number 4 at $6.56. Not bad, really not bad. So if you're a strong believer there, I think there's still a financial case for just going that route. All right, so going from the value and efficiency line of Team Green, let's go all the way up to the top of the line. 3090, 2080 Ti, 1660S, and 1080 Ti. The 3090 is going to be about half of the hash rate and profit here. Ethereum at $15.04. Bummer. We were up $2 more than that not that long ago, but what can you do? Ravencoin is at $12.57, Ergo at $11.99, Ethereum Classic at $11.23, and Firo at about $11 even. Let's see. So yeah, getting a bunch of comments in the live comments talking about Charles Hoskinson and Ethereum Classic. Yeah, I don't know a whole lot about that, but maybe I'll look into it a little bit more and I can come back with a little more for you another time. But yeah, I don't know a whole lot about what the relationship is there. But guys, that's our mining profitability for the day. Let's move over to our cost to mine one full Bitcoin. We're going to move over to just one Bitmain Antman or S9 and quickly take a look at what our price is or what our cost is. Looks like to break even, you need 17-cent power roughly. Go to 14-cent power. Looks like we're mining one full Bitcoin for $36,500. Let's cut to the chase. Go to 5-cent power. If you were co-located, it would be $13,000. It's the best case scenario on an Antminer S9. You're never mining one full Bitcoin for less than $13,000, at least as it is today. Let's go from that over to our MicroBT WhatsMiner M20S. This is a much more efficient, much newer card, or much newer ASIC rather. At 5-cent power, you can cut that price almost in half. So mining one full Bitcoin costs you about well, about $7,500, and then bringing that price for electricity all the way up to 14-cent power, you can get away with mining one full Bitcoin for about $21,000. Yes, you. If you have 14-cent power and you really want to mine Bitcoin at home, looks like you might be able to do it. Got some new comments coming in. Looks like Bojan says, hello. Hello, Bojan. Thanks for saying hello. All right, that's our cost to mine one full Bitcoin. Take a look at our mining pool stats right now. Bitcoin's global net hash has gone down just a little bit. Nope, that can't be quite right. It looks like it's gone down, but the pool hash rate has gone up. So clearly there's some misreported pool activity, misreported hash rate over on miningpoolstats.stream. That must mean that it's all a lie. Abandon hope, all ye who enter here, because miningpoolstats.stream is lying to us. Just kidding. Sometimes this kind of misreporting does happen, though. It's very difficult to pin this down. Occasionally, for groups like this, they just get a data feed that's missing, and it makes things look wonky. But kind of a bummer. Helps it prevents us from being able to track things a little bit more accurately here. Ethereum Classic is really high on that proof of work list. Looks like the top 10 proof of work mineable coins are, not strange to see them, but they're, of course, I think. Yeah, no, I don't know why Bitcoin SV is there. I really don't get it. I really don't get it at all. But, whatever. I'm not here to pick winners or pick on projects that may or may not be led by, liars and charlatans. But let's go over to our portfolio. GPU mineable coins. We are up by 1.5 percentage points over the last 24 hours, but overall, since we made the portfolio, we're down 5%. And we did make that new portfolio last time that we went live, or that I went live, but I haven't put in prices or haven't put in brand new purchases to all those new coins. We really put in a lot. So I haven't put in purchases to all those new coins. We might not be able to evaluate their performance tonight unless you want to see me do that live. I'm happy to do that. If the vibe is right and you guys want me to do that, happy to do that, but I don't want to bore everybody else. So we might skip that side of the portfolio tonight. Just heads up. But GPU mining coins, Ravencoin is still in the #1 spot, really performing admirably, even though it's kind of crawling sideways and looks like it's in a downward channel over this last 7 days. Like that definitely looks like a bit of a support line there at the bottom, those smaller valleys, and that looks like a resistance line over the top of those peaks. And it does look like it's downward, right? Overall. But that's Ravencoin. Right, so up to $1,800 since we started that side of the portfolio. Rio currency still doing great. It was in an upward channel and has since corrected, now forming, looks like almost a cup and handle formation there, and then kind of leveling off. We'll see where it goes next, but it looks like it's not really determined which direction it's going to go. And I don't really know what's happening either. It was very clear that there was some kind of trading interference from before or manipulation from before. So there was a little bit of an issue. JMMJ clearly feels very strongly about us adding those coins live. Let's cross that bridge when we get there, guys. I don't want to bore you. Don't want to send most of the audience away. Chump Change XD says, "Smash the likes." Who am I to disagree? But looking down the list, we've got Ethereum in #3 spot. Guys, that's kind of a shock, right? You think that with GPU mining, that Ethereum would pretty much stay dominant for the long haul, but no, it's definitely been a flippening. Ethereum was #1 for a while, and then it dropped to #3 in this portfolio. Go figure. The wrapped representations of Bitcoin have been pushed significantly farther down, but they're still over the $1,000 mark based on when we created this portfolio in May of this year, right? May 26th of this year, we created all these entries, or that's the purchase price that we did that. And we got, let's see, down to the bottom of the list, Haven still down significantly, but it's down kind of bad, right? It's been in a downward spiral over the last, it looks like roughly 3 days. And it says that we're at $4.30. Haven has definitely done better, and I apologize if anybody says like, hey, well, Seth was trying to advise me to buy Haven. Nope, not at all. We don't do that around here, not even a little bit. But I do think that it's probably still undervalued. Personally, we'll see. I'm not tracking their developer announcements though, so not totally sure when we may see that correct. But it's here on the list. Swap still at second to last. BitTube also very, very low. They're the only two that are above 40% losses outside of Haven. Everything else is kind of correcting a little bit, or has lifted a little bit, from Bitcoin's rise back up into this new performance channel of over 40K. It seems everything else is kind of enjoying that lift, but not much else to speak of in the middle of this list here, other than a very clearly differently formed chart on both Conceal, Ethereum Classic, and Ryo Currency. It looks like there's something very different going on there. They do not seem to behave the same way that the Bitcoin correlated charts are performing. Just a little bit different. Not sure what that's from, but they're not all that different. One that is very clearly a standout just visually by scrolling past all of them is the Flux chart. That looks different. It's been ranging sideways for a little longer than the other ones, and it sort of peaked before everything else peaked. Not totally correlated, it looks like, with Bitcoin, unless you talk about that earlier peak from this week, roughly 4 or 5 days ago, and then it's crawled sideways since that point. Not sure why, but it's up a bit more over the 7-day than a few other projects. That's our GPU mining portfolio. Going into hard drive coins, or hard drive mineable coins. We got MadeSafe coins still carrying the portfolio. Total 24-hour change, we're up about 0.5%, and we're still in the red by almost 8% in the total portfolio since we made it. Again, May 26th is the day that we add all of our new coin purchases, and that's going to be the case for our other portfolio that we look at a little later on tonight, if we do add more purchases tonight. But storage is in a number 2 place. The only other one that's above $1,000 still is storage. Everything else is in the red, bad. And Chia is still our dead last place. It is knocking on the door of a 70% drawdown from when we created the portfolio. Hurts to look at, but it hasn't dipped below $200. So Chia hodlers, good for you. You haven't seen those profits completely disappear yet, because it was below that $200 mark before, and for a while it stayed there. So for anybody holding Chia right now, breathe a sigh of relief. You haven't fallen to the floor. You're finding some support right now. It looks like maybe some support right about where you are right now, not like refusing to dip too much lower below the $250 mark than it has so far. But that's hard drive mineable coins, CPU mineable coins. These are just the coins that we've talked about. There are definitely additional CPU mineable coins that we could look up and kind of like white knight our CPU mineable coins at this point. Definitely the people who are sort of anti-GPU mining, like gamers and such, they might like to see that. And I think there's something wrong with that. I think when Satoshi talked about one CPU, one vote, this is what Satoshi was talking about, was helping people that have a laptop or a desktop or a work computer or a server farm or whatever, having everybody be able to participate in a fairly decentralized way. Everything has a CPU in it. Not everything has a GPU with multiple tiny little parallel stream processors and such. That's just not the architecture that everybody has available to them all the time. But even people in developing nations have some generation of mobile technology that has an ARM processor in it that they could mine with, hypothetically, right? Or technically, they should be able to mine with a CPU mineable algorithm. So I think that was on Satoshi's mind. I could be wrong, but I think that's why. And I'd love to get your feedback on that. Should we expand this portfolio? Because I think maybe we should. There may be merit to that. Over 24 hours, we're up 4.3%. Since we started the portfolio, we're down 16%. Raptorium is back in the number 1 spot, just barely over $1,000. Nothing in this portfolio seems to maintain its price based on when we put it in at May 26th, or on May 26th. We have not been able to keep this portfolio very performant. Varus coin is still in the last place. It's not still down by 50%, but it's almost there at 49%. Bummer to see that. And Monero is still just below the $1,000 mark, so underperforming just a bit. But it has been fudded pretty significantly more recently, and most notably on last week tonight, but with John Oliver. He really did a pretty nasty hit piece on Monero, and it was very, very targeted. The Monero core leadership team they received outreach directly from John Oliver's media production team, their writing team, to get specifics on Monero and use cases and who uses it and why they might want to. And then they went ahead and wrote a hit piece anyway. So you're seeing narratives play out here real time. Guys, if you doubted that these were narrative and emotion-driven markets, this is proof right here. John Oliver says a nasty, mean thing about Monero, and what happens to it? That right there. Boom! It falls off a cliff right there, and then has to recover the ground that it lost again. So you can see it in the chart right there, guys. People who talk very publicly, very negatively about cryptocurrencies cause damage. So if you were wondering why I made that rebuttal video that I did yesterday, now you know. People who don't know what they're talking about and who say damaging things, they cause casualties. And they may not realize it, but they cause casualties. It causes problems for other people. And that's the case for Monero. Granted, far more public person, I think, John Oliver, than somebody on YouTube talking about like GPUs and not knowing their stuff. All right. ASIC mineable coins. Our 24-hour change is almost 2% up. Our total PNL is still down by 6.69%. Top performer is still Decred, over $1,000. In fact, the over $1,000 mark stops with Dash. Pirate Chain is back down below, but it's pretty close. Zcash also not far behind it. Dogecoin below the $900 mark. Litecoin a little behind that. Bytecoin still inexplicably not dead last, which is a shock to me. You'd think it would be. And Horizon coming in last at over 30% down, which is, again, a bit of a shock. They've put in some work to creating a decentralized node network and ensuring that their nodes have to pass certain performance tests that are given to them at various random intervals. So it seems like they've got a very objectively useful network running for Horizon. I'm not sure what the holdup is for them in terms of their node network, right? Their master node network that offers enhanced services. Maybe I can read up on some of their news. Maybe you know something that I don't, but there's still a coin with a total market cap of almost $1 billion, and their coin price is pretty amazing. And yeah, I think they have some liquidity. So Bojan is asking, why is it a shock for Horizon? I think in my mind, it's a shock because they should have some kind of utility that's running on top of their network. David says some kind things in the comment section, says, throwing out facts, great show, mind your biz. Hey, appreciate you saying that. Here's the thing, if you've been around long enough and you've actually studied some of these coins instead of just reading some of the fluff press releases, then you'll know kind of roughly what the performance stats are for some of these coins and what they have to offer. That's why I'm shocked that Horizon is below Bytecoin, right? Bytecoin is an objectively pre-mined kind of deceptive coin that was launched under false pretenses. Horizon, yeah, they're a little bit, just a little bit centralized. They allow themselves to maintain ASIC dominance of their network, but then they built something up on top of what they originally launched with the masternode network that should provide more value. I guess maybe they just haven't launched anything on top of that node network yet. So yeah, I'm not totally sure. Anyway, yeah, kind of a bummer to me. In my mind, that's a little bit of a bummer. But moving on from our ASIC mineable portfolio, let's check out our FPGA portfolio. We haven't expanded this yet, but our 24-hour change is almost 3% up. Total PNL is still almost 27% down. Oof. Nothing over the $1,000 mark, not a single coin. Cadena is at least over the $900 mark, and it's nearing the $1,000 mark. It was our number one before. It appears to still be our number one. Nemic has really been beaten down in this ranking, right? In the stacked ranking. It was number one for some time. It just has not been able to maintain that position. And 0x Bitcoin still at the very bottom, still looking very, very volatile, but still with a massive flash crash right there. You know what? That's not strictly speaking a flash crash. It didn't quite find its support level again at the same level before, but now here it is moving sideways again afterwards, and it still has quite a bit of volatility. Let's see. Looks like we have some comments coming in from some new entrants. We've got Gypsy, who is in the comments asking some questions, saying, hey, how come I don't get a response? Does that count? All right then, cool. So 0x Bitcoin still kind of doing its thing, and we can take a look at that chart again. We've talked about it before for a couple of times, where it's been this very interesting volatility, and with that interesting volatility, there's always a possibility of people being able to work that as swing traders. So yeah, I'm not really sure how much coverage we should give it. It is still kind of it's considered a bit of a small cap, not a micro cap, but it is a smaller cap coin. So we can take a look at that in a minute here. But Handshake is second to last, with a very kind of a phenomenal recovery there, coming out of this most recent formation behind it. Not really sure what that's all about, but Handshake is clearly doing its own thing. That is not correlated to anything. A lot of these FPGA coins have been that way, though, right? Just looking at it from a bird's eye view, and we look at those formations, like the chart doing this sort of thing, then not really sure, like what news cycle they're responding to, right? Like, okay, so the FPGA markets are liquid. Nobody cares. Like, really, they're like Honey Badger, right? These FPGA coins. It's like, okay, well, what is your use case? Oh, well, we run as a token on top of Ethereum already. Okay, so you don't actually have your own blockchain. Noted. Okay, so what is all this other thing? Like, nobody seems to know exactly why FPGA coins perform the way that they do. The one thing about Handshake is that it's at least got something in the namespace, right? So you can actually get yourself into some kind of namespace. The way that people have .eth and .crypto addresses, you can do that. So just kind of an interesting thing as far as the news cycles that govern the FPGA mineable coins we have here. Okay, I'm seeing that live chat has some questions for me. Gypsy comes back and asks, well, actually, it's not a question. Gypsy, you didn't use a question mark. You used an exclamation point. It makes you sound like you're angry. I mean, you didn't use all caps, but it does make it sound like you're angry and not asking a question. Just saying. But Gypsy says, what's your favorite Skittle flavor, Seth? My favorite Skittle flavor? Steak. Bruh. Skittle is for babies. When you grow up, you gotta eat steak. All right, so that's our FPGA mineable portfolio right there. Guys, any questions? I know this has been a bit of a letdown, the FPGA mineable portfolio for the group, but we put these in at the exact same day, roughly the same hour as a lot of the other coins that we made in this broader portfolio. And I know it was because there's some interest by people who are using like the Blackminer F1 or the F1 Mini at home, because you can actually use it at home. And you have some of these algorithms that can be run and bit streams that can be run on these more user-friendly FPGAs. And man, I'm sorry. It's a bummer, right? It's a bummer to see that they haven't performed the way that you hoped. So there you go. Anyway, but moving on from the FPGA mineable portfolio over to proof of stake smart contracts. And guys, here's where we went ham the other night. Look at this. Look at this list. Compared to all the other portfolios, we went crazy. Basically, we can take a look at some other aspect of it. It'll default to, I think, market cap first. Yeah, it looks like market cap first. We could take a look just really briefly sorting by the 7. Oh, can we? No, we can't. Gosh darn it. See, that's the thing. When it's a portfolio, you have to actually put in some kind of a trade. All right, so we got some other questions coming in, and we can go through this, but it'll be very time consuming if we put in all of our trades, right? Our paper trades to show the portfolio has grown. But let me catch up on some questions really quick. Really quick. Got Zotrak saying elk meat Skittles. See, this guy gets it. This guy gets it. That's all I can say about that comment. Let's see. What else? Next Era Gamer saying, is there value to having a .eth or .crypto addresses? In my opinion, and chat, please answer that question to the best of your ability, because Next Era Gamer is asking in good faith, asking a good question. But in my estimation, my opinion, I really don't think there's a huge benefit to having those .eth and .crypto addresses, because even though you have a decentralized name service, right? So, and even though the decentralized name service will allow you to hold on to that top level domain, you can be excluded by DNS, right? You can have like Cloudflare or Google just decide to delist you. So if they decide like, hey, we really don't like, for example, nexteragamer.eth for whatever reason, they just decide, right? They're the centralized authority that most people have their browsers pointed to. And so if they decide that, it doesn't matter that you have that domain name. People can't find you. They can't navigate to your website, if that makes sense. Like, there's so many other ways that the internet can fail you with all these decentralized movements of content publishing and of name service and stuff. It's just like, it's a much bigger problem than just having an unstoppable domain over on unstoppabledomains, .com. So figure that one out. They have to use a .com, right? It's just kind of silly to me right now. It's just, we're not at the point where I think that's the biggest problem for most people. A bigger problem is more like going with a very centralized registrar, like say Google domains, where they can just decide, hey, we don't like you, so we're literally going to steal your domain from you. right? Like let's say that you have nexteragamer.org, right? And you bought it from Google Domains. They can just decide like, yeah, we're going to shut you down. We're stealing that domain from you and we're putting it back on the market because nexteragamers.org, the registered nonprofit, they need that nexteragamers.org address. And they also want yours. So we're just going to take it from you. That's where it's maybe it makes sense to have decentralized name service. But outside of that, like the domain registrar, I mean, it creates a new problem because then you got people who are squatting on domain names that they don't really have a legal business in developing. They don't have a legal, any kind of legal stake in developing a business around that name or around that trademark. And then they can go and domain name squat on all kinds of stuff. Like you could literally go buy McDonald's.eth right now or McDonald's.crypto. No one's going to stop you. No one can stop you. And I think that's very interesting. I really do. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm absolutely capitalist. I love the idea of people being able to work really hard and get what they want and be able to obtain stuff for themselves. But at a certain point also, like, what are you doing, man? Trying to squat on domains so that you can maybe like blackmail or squeeze the McDonald's Corporation for trying to get $1 million for your domain name. Like, they don't care, man. They'll change their domain name before they pay you $1 million. You know what I mean? It's kind of silly, in my opinion. That said, here's a little bit of interesting internet history for you. Target.com is not owned by the retail outlet Target. True story. It's a different company. Every time you go to Target.com to buy something, there is an uneasy alliance, an agreement between the Target retail stores, the brick and mortar stores where you can go buy, whatever, and where women dress like Han Solo all the time, whether the weather calls for it or not. You can go buy stuff there, but if you go to Target.com and you buy something from Target.com, they can advertise a different price than what Target has in store, and Target very often in store doesn't have to honor the price that Target.com has online because it's owned by a different entity, legal entity. They made it work out. It doesn't work that way for many other people who do domain name squatting, though. So anyway, that was a really good tangent. I appreciate you asking that question, NextEraGamer. In my estimation, .eth and .crypto addresses kind of don't matter. Plus, if your keys get hacked or in some way, there's no way to recover something that you may have a business interest in maintaining. Something that happened to a very popular crypto content creator, Omar Bam. He goes by Crypto's News. He had his Ethereum wallet hacked. He has Crypto's News.eth, and the attacker stole his .eth address. He's never getting it back. The attacker taunted him, and they're not one of these guys like the dude who did the poly hack, who gave all the funds back. No, they taunted him, and they were like, hey, we've got your .eth address, and we're never giving it back, and they never have. So there's that. I think that there's a bit of a balance, and it's very hard to achieve. Very, very hard. But yeah, there's so much of the internet that's based on legacy infrastructure that I don't think makes sense to transfer all of it to blockchain right now. Zotrak asks, are you on ketosis too, bro? No, I'm not. I just like, when I was a child, I acted like a child. I thought the thoughts of a child, but when I became a man, I put away childish things. This isn't whatever root beer either, or Dr. Pepper. It's water, right? Like, come on, man. Like, do I have to give an excuse for eating stuff that makes me not feel like crap? Like, hey, without making anybody else feel bad. Like, that's like it's just a line for me. Right? Just a line that I'll toe. Oh, and I've got to approve a comment there from Rob. Oh my gosh, chat basically went crazy just now. And Chump Change XD, I think, yeah. Chump Change XD, I think, gave a really good answer to that on flavors for candy. It says pink. Pink is a good flavor, right? Yeah, like nails. Zotrak says, lost 30 pounds in 2 months by starting to enjoy eating healthy. Bro, congrats. Yeah, you know what? I'm legit going to give the applause right now to Zotrak. Here's the thing, man. Like, that's a big deal. It's a really big deal. And I'm going to do a little tangent here, guys. I know we've been talking about crypto, but we're doing a little bit of personal Q&A, just impromptu AMA, I guess, here. But here's the thing. Most people spend their 20s like hustle, right? 10x hustle in a very specific way, and they do so at the cost of their own physical health. And then they wind up trying to spend part of their 30s so that they don't have massive health conditions that will plague them into their 40s. What if you just took care of yourself during those 2 decades and then you lived extremely healthy into your 60s or your 80s? I mean, get up, you move, you stretch, you move fast sometimes, jogging, running. I mean, I don't want to like make anybody feel bad if that doesn't describe your lifestyle, but I mean, I feel pretty strongly about it. I spent a lot of time not around computers when I was a younger person, not around IT, not around highly technical stuff, other than tools, right? Like making stuff with my hands. I spent a lot of time when I was a younger person outside, playing, running, jumping on top of things, jumping over things, really spending a lot of time like in the act of jumping high over things. Like it takes a lot of energy. Anyway, I realize I'm going to make somebody feel bad. I'm not trying to make you feel bad, but I don't know. I think that's great. What Zotrak did, learning to love the process of eating healthy and being active, I think it's the best gift any person can give to themselves because nobody else can give it to you. Nobody else can do it for you. If you can give that gift to yourself, like you are truly rich. There are people, around the world and people throughout history who had zero understanding of what the effects were of what they put in their mouths. It was just survival time, right? It's like, hey, can I find something that's full of fat? Oh, this is really good. Like from an evolutionary perspective, an evolutionary diet perspective, this is really good. If I can find something that's really heavy in fat, that's great. If I can find something that's really heavy in sugar, that's good just this once. Right? And the dopamine response hit because it was like, oh, this will help you store fat because you might not be able to eat for a day or two. Same with salt, right? It's like, oh, I found salt. Cool. My osmotic balance will be good, right? I'll be able to retain the right water balance in my system and I won't like get all dehydrated super fast. All these things happen to us for a reason. But now, we've got refrigerators and can just walk across the room and have food. We don't have to go run after a wild game or something. Try to hunt it down by hand, strangle it with our bare hands or whatever. Like it's just a whole different world. So I realize it takes a lot. Like it's easier said than done. I don't want to come across as insensitive to anybody, but man, it's just the best thing you can possibly do for yourself. The best possible gift you can give to yourself. And if you do, man, like my hat goes off to you, really. But, all right. Got some folks saying red is a pretty good flavor, not pink. See, guys, these are the opinions people come here to listen to. Red versus pink. Thank you. I will throw out blue. Blue. If you haven't considered blue on the color wheel is not, a perfect complement to red, but it's across the wheel. It's a cool color instead of a warm color. Think about it. Really, you've got options. Let's see. And David says, I heard BitBoy say today on Around the Blockchain there was going to be a shortage of ETH, but ETH has unlimited supply. Is this correct? Well, so good question. As far as there possibly being a shortage, that could just be right now in terms of there being Ethereum for retail to purchase on exchange. That can happen right now based on demand, right? So supply versus demand, active demand at the exchanges. And that may be the case for Ethereum right now. We may be running into a period of sort of like lean availability of Ethereum for retail to purchase. Just like how for a while, Grayscale Investments was technically buying more Bitcoin than was being mined for a while. They were purchasing more of the available Bitcoin supply that was for sale than even the amount that was being mined during that period. So these things do happen in terms of the exchanges and the fiat on-ramps and off-ramps. That may have been what he was referring to. Let's see. Golden Wolf brings up chocolate crickets. I think that's appropriate. And Rob is saying best lesson you can learn from Mind Your Biz is that true decentralization is how you effing use it. Dump the central platforms. Bruh. Yeah, and Gypsy didn't hear me very closely, didn't hear me very well. When talking about Target before, women who go to Target dress like Han Solo. They don't look like Han Solo. They dress like him. All right. I am trying to very quickly. I'm trying to very quickly parse through stuff, guys. I got so far behind on the chat. And I apologize for that because I'm just sitting here like looking, mouth agape. Zodrak is saying that the trick for him is to have fun, not force himself. It's awesome. And Casual Mining, digging this trench for my solar line is keeping me young and sore. I feel you there, man. Yeah, some days are tougher than others. Limitless Combo says, I wonder if there will be a shortage if everyone starts staking. Boo boo. And John says, I feel for you. I was digging the sprinkler system once. Gypsy finally says something that makes sense. Says the cake is also a lie. Who would disagree with that? And the Deadwood says, I think miners are hodling more since the burn. I think that's probably true. I think there are probably more. But yeah, very, very true. Vegas Plays asks, please talk about about ICP or Internet Computer Protocol. I'm not going to, only because I'm not well read on it enough to do it justice, and I don't want to say anything that comes across as FUD. But my initial impressions of it are negative. I will say that. But I'm not going to speak about Internet Computer Protocol or ICP, ticker symbol ICP, at length. It went into the top 10 and then fell quickly out of the top 10 just as fast because there were other people who had similar concerns to me. So, but I won't speak about it in depth, but I appreciate you asking. So here we are on the proof of stake smart contract platforms. Ethereum is there kind of as a, it's a bit of a technicality. We're not there yet, but we may eventually get there. Alrighty. But we don't have any entries here right now, guys. Let's see. Gordon Murray says, yeah, Internet Computer Protocol got sued by Insane Cloud Posse. That may well be the truth, guys. Here's the thing. Cryptocurrency is a wild place. Like, if that actually happened, I wouldn't actually be shocked with the way that cryptocurrency works, right? They'd be like, oh, yeah, Insane Clown Posse. They sue, like back in the day, Metallica, right? Trying to sue everybody that was sharing their files or sharing their songs on Napster. Truth is stranger than fiction, man. Definitely a strange thing. Benjamin has some advice, calls it health advice. You're welcome to read that. And Zotrak is saying, just a thought about ICP, though. It could be added to your new DPoS coins list. That's true. You guys, it wouldn't hurt to put it here. So, yeah, what the heck? Let's do it. Fair point. I don't know much about it, but since these are portfolios where all we're doing is objectively looking at the numbers, screw it. Why not? Let's just do it. What the? Yeah. Down there in good company with Tron and EOS. Cool. But that's just market cap at this point. It is in a downward, looks like it's in a downward trend. Gordon Murray dropping knowledge nuggets here, says, I cook my salad on a grill. Because he's right. If you can't cook food on a grill, you shouldn't eat it. So salad on the grill, everybody. Do it. All right. But do we want to add some of these right now? I don't know that I want to bore you guys with that. I think what I'm going to do is take a look at the 0x Bitcoin chart really fast. Let's take a look at that. Take a look at our Bitcoin chart, and then we may be able to circle back to a couple other things. I don't want to bore you to tears, because when you guys are bored to tears, you make weird comments that my bot automatically hides from me. All right, taking a look at the 24-hour chart, and 0x Bitcoin looks the same as it ever has on 24-hour chart, right? That looks pretty familiar to us, right? Where the valley for every day, and we go 51 cents, peak 56 cents. All right, so it looks like it does like almost a 5% swing. It's not always a 10% swing, but roughly a 5% swing. And we got a super chat coming in from Gypsy. Gypsy feels very strongly about this phrase. So here we go. Gypsy, this one's for you. Brings up a super chat. $5. Says, if one doctor doctors another doctor, does the doctor who doctors the doctor doctor the way the doctor is he is doctoring doctors? Oh, also, say this. Pointy ASCII word. And I think I may have flubbed that a little bit, but I hope that was pretty good. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. So guys, taking a look at the 0x Bitcoin chart here, though, got the that low of 51.8 and that high of about 57. Gosh, what do we call that? 5 cents, but it's not quite 5%. We're still seeing these swings though that they look almost programmed, right? In this coin. And that's why I brought this up before, is that it almost looks programmed. So casual mining gives me a 9.9 out of 10. Hey, I appreciate that. Thank you. 9.9 out of 10. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Definitely been called worse than a 9.9 out of 10. But let's bring this over to a 7-day chart. We see that flash movement down. It's not technically a flash crash because it didn't come back up. It didn't recover itself to the same point, and very likely not caused by the same loans or same problems. However, since we've been talking about it, we didn't see these kinds of formations before. Could be that because we're drawing attention to it over here, that somebody in our audience is like, well, I know Solidity. Well, it is doing this really cool swing trading pattern. Well, Seth said, look at it. I'm going to back test the strategy on this chart. I'm going to do it. And they, just decided to wreck this poor little coin. We got Gypsy who's signing off for the night. Appreciate you being here with us. But we got that same swing roughly as we had before. It barely even skipped a beat, right? Even down there, it was following the same swing. This is programmed, guys. This is clearly algorithmic. Something is definitely designed here to swing all the time. So while it might not be 5% that you're actually getting every single day, on every single swing, if you can safely get yourself 2%, 2% every single day. Like, if you know you're going to get 2% every single day, that's a good day's work. If you're working with capital that makes it worth your time to do that, then yeah, that's worth it. And every single day, clearly right now, the daily trading volume on this coin is almost $1 million. You got $800,000. Nope, it goes all the way to $1 million sometimes. Over the last week, it's been over $1 million. Gordon is saying high frequency traders. Yeah. So high frequency traders is I think that's right. I think it's interesting too, though, that we've been talking about it. Clearly somebody's already done. It looks like it's very obvious that somebody's already done this. And it looks like it just hasn't changed. It hasn't shaken this project out. They just keep on moving forward, right? So, I don't know. I don't know what to make of this other than there's got to be other little corners of the cryptocurrency market where you've got similar characteristics in a coin, right? Where you got a market cap that roughly the entire market cap is being traded every 24 hours, right? Let's just take a quick look here. 24-hour trading volume? Whatever, right? 15% of the market cap is being traded every 24 hours. It's kind of crazy, isn't it? Isn't that really kind of nuts? And 0x Bitcoin is supposed to be something of a clone of Bitcoin. It's supposed to, I believe, only have 21 million. So I think there's a few there that kind of went away from some kind of fee burn or something. The total supply right now is considerably less, but it's meant to sort of mimic the financials of Bitcoin and only ever have 21 million emitted. And it's just a little over 1/3 of the way there. There are other projects that are similar that are going to be launching on other smart contract networks that are basically just clones of this smart contract. So it's kind of crazy. Bojan is asking how much hash power you have, man. I'm not going to answer that question. Just straight up, I'm not going to answer that question. Sorry. I know, guys. I know I'm boring. I don't talk about how much crypto I have. I don't talk about how many mining rigs I have or don't have. And I don't. And I don't talk about some other stuff. Here's the thing. I also preach a bit of privacy, right? And a bit of security and privacy etiquette. And so part of that, just here are my reasons. But there's an old quote from Benjamin Franklin, one of the founding fathers of the United States, the United States of America. And I've been criticized for saying this quote in the past, right? There was somebody who was very public who was like, oh, all you do is quote dead people. Sorry, I like reading books. But Benjamin Franklin said, he who shows too often his wallet or his wife is in danger of having one or both of them borrowed. I don't like having my stuff borrowed. So I don't like talking about it. But I do like talking about this stuff. It's public, right? And I like talking about to my audience about things that they can do to improve. Yeah. The Aussie Bog and Tech gives the right answer, right? The correct answer, as usual, says, well, not enough. That's always the answer. Like if you ask me how many guns I have, same answer. How much ammo do I have? Same answer. How many precious metals, how many ounces of precious metals do I have in the safe? Same answer. It's never enough. It really isn't. It's really literally never enough. It doesn't matter how much you already have. But yeah, anyway. Yeah, fair point there, though. But yeah, this chart here, guys, it just looks like that's unreal. That massive trading volume, and clearly that massive amount, like little oscillation right there every 24 hours. Let's just do this again. Let's try to look at the times of day where we might be awake. So let's just say that, so you can personally babysit your trades. Say if you want to get up just before 4 a.m., so you can personally babysit this and make this happen. We've got got a chance to buy, sell, or sell, buy, and then sell anywhere in here, buy, sell anywhere in there, buy, sell, and then maybe, who knows, buy to prep for the next day. Or maybe you don't. Maybe you only buy the following day when you're awake so you can babysit the market, see what it's done overnight, and then prep yourself again to do this all over again. But it looks really more like over 24 hours, somebody's just using algorithms and bots to do all of that based on some targets, like some rough estimates for performance, and just slaying it. Like, what if this is literally just a few individuals controlling just a handful of wallets? Hear me out, right? Like, it could be that that's not the case. I hope that's not the case. And I'm not accusing specifically the project leadership or anybody of doing anything wrong here. But imagine, what if it is the case that there's really only a handful of people and they only control a handful of wallets each, and they're just running this same routine across multiple wallets and just like, oh, yep, boop, buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell, day in, day out, bots doing this for them. Because look at that trading volume. It's just like straight line across. Never quite goes below, what is that, 700,000, never quite goes above like 1.5 million, kind of performs in a very specific range, and always seems to do between, it's never less than like a 2% swing. Here, yes, but then it just like, it's programmed to go all the way until it at least hits 4 to 10%. Right? Like, and before it looked like it was even more than that. It was like between 6 and 12%. It looked like it was programmed to do it. But that's not what the smart contract is supposed to do. For this coin, I know this smart, like basically the intent and the vision and the roadmap for this project is just to be kind of a tokenized version of Bitcoin that isn't Bitcoin. It's just inspired by the economics of Bitcoin, right? The emission schedule, the halving cycle, the halving schedule, everything else. That's all it's supposed to do. So there isn't like a smart contract where like it's something like Hex, right, where it's got fundamentals built in, or AMP, right, gosh, what's some of the other ones that are like these coins that provide their own liquidity, right, or they provide their own interesting automated liquidity protocols, right? Like it's not supposed to do that. Ozzy is asking, what does it look like on a longer time frame, or is that max? I'm actually like just zoomed into 24 hours. So 7 days, similar, right? 14 days, similar. Yeah, we had bigger moves a little while back, but still, it's never any less than that roughly like 4 to 10% swing up. And then it corrects, and then it keeps on going. It looks like a heartbeat, right? It looks like, doesn't it? Kind of like, it just looks like that's how this runs all the time. So Track is saying, I've seen this on small exchanges. Big spread and low volume can create that kind of charts, but this one is 600K a day. Yeah. And beyond that, guys, here's the thing. It's a token. Where does all the volume come from? Uniswap. Fully automated DEX, right? Or fully decentralized volume. Oh, I apologize. No, Mercatox. It looks like it's where the majority of that is coming from. Yeah. No, I got to take all that back. So it could be that like roughly $500,000 of that is legitimately just wash trading between the 0xBTC and the ETH pair. But here's the thing. Who's to say that there aren't people who are just like paper trading for wash to get that pump? Maybe that's where the algorithm is getting that pump for them. And then on Uniswap, they're just dumping their coins, right? They're riding that for real world profit on the decentralized exchange. And then on Mercatox, the centralized exchange, they're using that to run their little scheme. Oh my gosh, guys, isn't this intriguing? Like, I'm spitballing here, guys. This is so irresponsible. Good grief. I'm not saying anything. I'm not trying to implicate anybody in this project, because this could totally be a third party, right? But I'm looking at it and thinking, like, if you had $1 million and you wanted to turn it into $2 million in under a year, what would you do? Like, without risk, what would you do? I mean, any risk. How would you do it? Right? This could be one way you would do that, I think. Just crazy. I don't know, man. Every time I see this chart, though, I'm like not even mad. I'm just impressed. It's exciting to see somebody do it, and maybe getting away with it. Who knows? Anyway, totally hashtag not advice moment there. Good grief. You gotta try not to fanboy out so much live on stream about people maybe behaving badly. El Spotboy says, hey, from Los Angeles, asks about BitTorrent token. Interesting. I don't know much about BitTorrent token right now. I know a little bit about the BitTorrent protocol because I remember when it was new, when it was shiny and new. Anybody who was around when BitTorrent as a protocol for file transfer was kind of new. It was exciting. It totally transformed the way the internet works now. But I don't know a whole lot about the fundamentals of the token, other than that it is owned by the Tron project, who I don't trust. So, yeah, that's all I know about it. Sorry, man. Let's see. Zotrak is saying that, yeah, probably because it's the crap of Mercatox. And make it mandatory. Zotrak is saying the percentage of total volume happening on one exchange is highly suspicious. Gordon is asking, does Bram Cohen own BTT? I think that Bram sold a significant amount, but still holds a bag because it was his baby. And again, the tech itself is just brilliant. I will always, I really do think a lot of people owe a debt of gratitude to Bram for creating it. I don't think it was the runaway commercial success that he was hoping for, which is why I think the Chia project is taking the direction that it has. But he just did phenomenal work, just gorgeous work on BitTorrent as a protocol. It's amazing. It did something that the world desperately needed to be able to improve the utilization of internet and bandwidth, right? Like, just awesome. And the most elegant idea of just take one file, you take a file that is 500 megabytes, which back at that time was enough to be challenging for an individual user to download in the amount of time that you wanted to, depending on your bandwidth. Take a 500 megabyte file, and if you have 500 people, air quotes, seeding that file, and it's chopped into 500 pieces, they only have to transfer 1 megabyte each. And on the receiving end, if you had a cable internet connection where maybe you had a 1.2, 1.5 megabit connection or something, then you'd be able to flood that 1.5 megabit pipeline, and you'd see it in whatever the client was that you were using or for torrenting. You'd be able to see how every bit of available bandwidth that you had was totally used up. Nothing else did that. FTP didn't do that. It had crazy slowdowns depending on the route it was taking, and the sort of network bottlenecks. Just took forever to download larger files. So anyway, guys, I'm kind of waxing a bit poetic there. So, for as many things as I've said that sound really negative towards the Chia project, gosh, and Bram showed up in the live comments of one of those videos. I sincerely hope that this hits his desk sometime too. And I didn't realize it's old news for him, but really, it's just amazing what he did there. At the time, we'd never seen it before. Nothing ever ran like that before. Now we're spoiled as all get out with how fast the internet is. But still, as you know, torrents, if you've got to download something that is multiple tens of gigabytes or more, if you need to download a full terabyte of data, you'd want to use a BitTorrent client if you could. And you'd want it sliced into multiple pieces with multiple seeders. You would. Straight up. Just, it did scale. It does scale. the technology and the concept scales very well. So elegant and brilliant and simple and, and not needlessly complex. It's pretty crazy. Anyway, just throwing it out there. But BTT, the token, I don't know. I think once they lost Bram Cohen, it's a bit like Apple when they didn't have Steve Jobs. Same problem, right? If they don't have Bram Cohen, I don't think they have anything. Anyway, guys, this portfolio, I've got to fill this out a little later on. I don't want to keep you guys kind of like, unless, gosh darn it, should we do it? Should we do it? Should we do it? Should we fill out this portfolio right now? Okay, so for people who have not actually filled out one of these, I'm going to start with Ethereum. You guys let me know in the comment section. Tell me what you think. If you're watching this after the fact, just know sometimes we live stream a little bit longer, but we add a transaction within CoinGecko here. You've seen how I have my own little portfolio area. Very simple to use. It's a free account. If you don't want to give them your own docs, you can give them a fake email or whatever. Not a paid service that you use here. So I go to portfolio, I sign in, and then I can create new portfolios just by clicking on create portfolio. We've got all those little portfolios there. And then within that portfolio, we can add coins the way we did before by clicking on add coin, looking at the ticker symbol. So poop coin, got it. What? How's there not a poop ticker symbol? You got to be pooping me. Okay, whatever. There isn't, though. Ironically, yep, there's the other one. Okay, that's so crazy. Anyway, but you look up the ticker symbol, and then you click on the coin you want, and it shows up in your portfolio. All right, we've already done that. We've got a whole bunch of coins here that fit the description of what we're trying to track. Proof of stake, smart contract coins. And I might just edit this little bit out later on. We'll do this as a separate tutorial, okay, guys? Because we've gone over this a little bit before. This will be the sort of tactical guide, right? We'll make a separate video just from this. We'll edit it from tonight's live stream. But we've already got these coins. We've conveniently been able to put into this portfolio based on the excellent suggestions of the audience who've been here live and just saying like, hey, you should add this project or that project. Got a really nice lineup here. But we now add a transaction. We want to show it can be a buy or a transfer. Really, you know what? Transfer in would be a way easier way to do it, but we have to figure out the correct amount for that day. Right. So when we buy, we've got to say what the US dollar value of the coin was, and then the number that we got. So it's a little bit more confusing. When we transfer in, all we have to do is go take a look at the date that we transferred in. I don't know why I didn't think about this earlier. This would be a lot simpler. May 26th. This is the date that we've been doing at about 5:30 p.m. Now we got to go take a look at the price of Ethereum that day to figure out how many ETH that would represent $1,000. So I'm going to go to Ethereum. 90-day. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to go to 24 hour. May 25th. And then May 26th. That'll give us a new range. It'll just zoom in on the range that we want to get that price from. And we again want to go to, well, as close to 1730 as we can get it. So right there, the price was 27.01. Looks like there's no way to avoid having to do the calculator here, guys. Apologize for that. Oh. My brain is failing, guys. I'm so tired right now. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm actually so tired that I can't finish this up. I'm not even joking right now. I'm so tired that I don't want to don't want to deal with this at this moment. I hate to do that to you, but I'm really actually that rundown for the day. So yeah, guys, what I'm going to do is I am going to save this for another time, and I might just do like a more tactical video where I don't have to like try to go through this live. And in the meantime, we will get these all filled out with $1,000 from May 26th at about 5 p.m. ish, roughly, give or take. But yeah, I'm just mentally fried. Let's take a look at our Bitcoin chart though, which I don't mean to like throw shade here, but I can do this even like on no sleep and not even thinking, right? So here we are. Anyway, because I'm not really doing a whole lot of in-depth analysis here. Most of like the people who actually know how to do charts really well, most of the work happens off camera. If we're being honest, most of the analysis happens before they present something. So, but this, where I'm literally just taking a look at a couple of lines, we drew this line across here because we saw something of a bit of a reversal, right? We saw that double top there, and then we saw a bit of a reversal in the trend. And we did draw a line across the support on the way up. And we didn't, we didn't go up, right? We did just find that was the reversal and did start to come down. So while our 200-day moving average is continuing to move up, our 50-day is coming back down. Guys, this is part of the reason that for me, when I saw the Coinbase news, I was like, oh, we got to talk about this. Because if Coinbase is essentially taking profit right now, instead of investing in Bitcoin, which you'd expect them to do, right? As a crypto company, you'd expect them to use Bitcoin as their reserve asset. They're not. They are reserving cash, right? So that to me was like, we got to take a look at this chart. Like, again, without me being some kind of like financial, like technician, analyst, whiz kid, or trying to offer any real insight here, I knew we needed to take a look and see, okay, we are seeing a reversal. And I think that they're spooked because they may know something that we don't. We could crawl sideways in this range, right? The new normal of 40 to 50K. Or they may know that there's some aspect of the market that's overbought. There's something that's coming that has them legitimately spooked, and it's not just the potential for regulation. I don't think, because if it was just regulation, they'd want to put those assets into something that was going to perform well enough that they're better prepared financially, right? Not just cash, but they want cash, $4 billion of it. So I worried about this potentially being some kind of a reversal here. And then, yeah, I mean, I don't know where that takes us. I haven't identified any kind of targets here. That's not what I do, right? Not even going to pretend. But that's not what I do. If you want that sort of thing, I think a great resource is Crypto Wendy O. She does some really, really insightful charting. So she'll actually have targets and such and talk about like what makes her euphoric and such. So huge shout out to Crypto Wendy O. But here I just saw there was a reversal. JMMJ is throwing out some potential reasons here. Shareholders want cash. Mainstream pressure? Yeah, could be. Could be that shareholders just want cash, and that it's a question of like votes, right? Like market intelligence via boardroom decision, right? Like, or what is it? Or trading intelligence through like an executive panel, right? Where there's just not enough one person actually making any kind of real decision making here. So, but yeah, I saw that and it made me think we've got to take a look at this again. All we've been doing so far is our chopsticks. So I'm going to grab chopsticks again, and I'm going to bring our top line and run it down through our tops here. And Aussie Blogging Tech is saying they may just be diversifying as they already have a lot of crypto. Maybe, but here's the thing. Why would you need to diversify when you know that you've got an asset that's outperforming cash? Like any number of assets that's outperforming cash. Cash is like, you get cash for a very specific reason, or for very specific reasons. And I don't think you get cash to have your portfolio perform well. I think you get cash so that you are prepared to take some kind of a hit, right? Basically. Alrighty. Okay, we're through the top of our candlesticks there. And I think we're in a channel now. Looks like we're knitting. Maybe they're not maybe they're not chopsticks, guys, because we don't have any noodles anymore. Sorry. Oh, Gordon says Coinbase is being sued. And Zotrak is saying could bounce or reverse in his opinion. Okay, yeah, totally. That's totally possible. Yeah, absolutely. But down here in MACD, we see this kind of flipping up and down with less strength. Zotrak is saying as it encounters that red line moving average, 200-day moving average, it's entirely possible, yeah, that we do find that as support, and then it does just like bounce right back up and makes a recovery. Guys, I'm not here to really to comment on that too much, other than to just like draw something on a chart, and over time, see what that means, or see how well it does compared to market performance, and not take it too seriously. Like, right, not take any of this stuff too seriously, but just pay attention. Because to your point, also, got that little double formation there, and then it moves downward. Double formation, support. Double formation, support. Double formation, maybe support, and who knows? Maybe there's a recovery there, like Zotrak is saying. Maybe there is. Maybe there's not. Maybe we go all the way down to where our chopsticks intersect. Oh, snap. Maybe we're back at 42,000 before we know it, and the whole ride is over. Give up, pack your bags, sell all your Bitcoin. We're done. No. Nobody here believes that. Not for a second. But yeah, this is just interesting to see that there's a bit of a reversal now. In the 50-day, it's definitely on the downtrend for the reversal. Definitely not on the uptrend. And JMMJ says, looks like Gojira when you zoom stretched. Gojira. Breathing fire into your portfolio. All right, guys. Appreciate you being attentive and staying all the way through to the very end of the live stream. Hit that thumbs up if you haven't. Hit that subscribe button if you hasn't. If you has not done the things. It'd be like that sometimes, folks. Hit that subscribe button, click the bell icon. Thank you for being subscribed. I love your face. Remember to stay private and mind your biz. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end of the video. If you want to be notified of videos like this in the future, first off, click subscribe, press the bell icon. Additionally, you can sign up for the Mind Your Biz email newsletter. That'll give you exclusive access to certain freebies, notifications for deals within the cryptocurrency mining space, as well as some of our flash sales for merchandise, which you can buy with cryptocurrency. That's right. It's the only cryptocurrency merch that you can buy with cryptocurrency. We practice what we preach. As always, thank you so much for watching. You're the reason I make this media. I love your face, and I will see you in the next one.